From Abuja, the nation's capital, this is Matters Arising, coming to you live from KAFTAN television. Matters Arising is the flagship talk show of the station that features in-depth discussions and analysis of topical and trending national and international issues by our team of seasoned broadcast journalists. My name is Maucauley Hunohashi. Thanks for joining us.
I am John Okoro. Welcome to the program.
And I'm Elizabeth Sam-Sedi. You're welcome.
We welcome you to today's show, which promises to be engaging, incisive, and interactive. Be a part of the conversation by calling the phone number 0802 9938 365, and I repeat 0802 9983 8365, which will be displayed on your screen in the course of the show. How are you feeling, gentlemen and lady?
Very well, thank you.
Okoro, how was the day?
It
rained throughout in my place today before coming here.
Okay, that's great.
In our police.
For me, it looks almost like what we can call picture perfect. The beginning of the working week was also the beginning of the month.
Okay.
July.
You showed me a picture earlier of someone you snapped on your way to the studios.
Yeah. It was. I couldn't just comprehend what it was all about in the in one of the busiest bus stops in the city of Abuja. So I just saw the gentleman sitting as if he was sleeping, sitting and sleeping, and he was just there in the midst of all the noise, all day, all morning. So I couldn't understand why, and nobody cared about him or whatever was his problem. And it was somehow to me. So I had to just take a photograph of the guy and say, I don't understand what it is.
Elizabeth, you are beginning to understand the geography of this axis of Katampe, because today I remember you wanted to pick something to chew and you had to drive yourself to go pick something. How did it go?
Very well. Very well. Like you said, this day started well. Then woke up with this suicide bombing in Goza that happened, heartbreaking.
Yeah, very horrific.
A lot
very
of
horrific news.
Yeah, innocent people that died for nothing. They just innocently going about their daily activities, and from nowhere, they just ended. Their lives were just ended suddenly. It's actually very sad. It lowered my spirits a bit earlier in the day.
You're right. When we thought that we have gone past the era of suicide bombings, it is that we're witnessing a resurgence with what happened on Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, before I introduce our first topic of discussion tonight, let's join Sifon Umo for a quick roundup of events and happenings in the polity.
This is the news roundup. President Bola Tinubu has strongly condemned the bomb attacks on Saturday that resulted in the loss of precious lives and injuries to many in Gwaza local government area in Borno State. President Tinubu described the attacks as desperate acts of terror and a clear manifestation of the pressure mounted against terrorists and the success achieved in degrading their capacity to launch offensives. In a statement issued in Abuja by presidential spokesman Ajuri Ngilali, Tinubu declared that the purveyors of wanton violence would have a certain encounter with justice. He added that these cowardly attacks are only but an isolated episode, as his government will not allow the nation to slide into an era of fear, tears, sorrow, and blood. Police operatives of the FCT anti-kidnapping unit have rescued 2 kidnapped victims after a shootout in a forest bordering the FCT and Niger State. Spokesman of the FCT Police Command, Josephine Ade, made this known on Monday, noting that the victims were rescued unhurt. Ade stated that the 2 female victims aged 12 and 15 respectively were abducted by gunmen in the early hours of Sunday in Guto Village, Buari Area Council of the FCT, and were taken to an unknown location. However, the synergy and bravery displayed by a combined team of the police, DSS and hunters led to the rescue of the victims at Gauraka Forest in Niger State. Nigerians have been called upon to treat the cholera outbreak in the country with the level of seriousness they handled the coronavirus pandemic. The call was made in Lagos on Monday by Honorable James Faleke, a member of the House of Representatives, in an interview with the news agency of Nigeria. Meanwhile, Lagos State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, has disclosed that 25 cases of cholera have been reported at the Kirikiri Medium Security Prison. However, in a statement on Sunday signed by the Director of Public Health, Lagos State Ministry of Health, Tumbosun Ogumbawo, the commissioner reported a small outbreak of 25 cases of severe gastroenteritis confirmed to be caused by cholera. The Nigeria Customs Service has grounded a private jet belonging to a Nigerian bank, signaling the commencement of clampdown on private jet owners over unpaid import duty running into several billions of naira. The development comes barely 2 weeks after the NCS began a 1-month verification exercise for private jet owners in the country. According to a public notice by the Customs Service, the exercise aims to identify private jet operators that have illegally imported aircraft into the country without paying the necessary import duties. That is all on the news roundup. I am Sifon Umo.
Welcome back, and many thanks to Sifon Umo for that news roundup. On the 30th day of December 2023, which was a Saturday, Nigerian lawmakers convened a special plenary to approve the 2024 appropriation bill of 28.7 trillion naira, which was an increase from the initial 27.5 trillion naira submitted by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in late November 2023. The lawmakers in the Senate and the House of Representatives unanimously passed the bill after raising the budget size by 1.2 trillion naira. The government said it expected more revenue from government-owned enterprises and an expected average exchange rate of 800 naira to the dollar, which was expected to boost export income, thereby realizing the economic growth forecast of 3.88%. But barely 6 months after President Tinubu signed the appropriation bill into law, on 1st January 2024, Nigerians are witnessing an extension of the implementation period of the 2023 budget from June 2024 to December 2024. The implementation period was earlier moved from December 2023 to March 2024. In the midst of reactions and divergent opinions by Nigerians on the decision by the federal government to shift the budget implementation goalpost, our focus tonight on matters arising will be on how impactful or otherwise the national budget has been on the life of Nigerians. Guys, when President Tinubu, led government design our budget, budget are usually designed annually, within the confines of projected revenues that will be accruing to the government. And he christened it budget of renewed hope, promising that it will, it will stabilize macroeconomy of the country and then make life better. Today, Nigerians know that this is the second time they're shifting the implementation period of the budget. It was initially, like I mentioned earlier in the opening remark, in the intro, they shifted it from 2023 to June 30th, 2024, and now we're witnessing another, shifting of the implementation goalpost of the 2024 budget to December 2024, which means 2023 of that 2023, which means the supplementary budget of 2023 and the fiscal budget of 2024 is going to run concurrently. Now there are reactions. Nigerians, federal government is receiving knocks from Nigerians, including Peter Obi, the Labour Party presidential candidate, where he's accusing government of, the following risk, having the risk of running 4 budgets within one fiscal financial year. But there are also reactions. Government has countered it. The spokespersons of the federal government, particularly Bayo Onanuga, has come out to say no. There are projects that have fallen short of, expectations of government in terms of budget application. Directly touching the lives of Nigerians. So that is the excuse government they gave. But to my mind, for me, I feel there's no sincerity of purpose. this government took over from another government that came from the same political party. So government is a continuum. If government is a continuum, the budget should be within the time frame it is allocated. I feel so disappointed that budgets, Nigerian budgets in recent times, are not implemented within the time frame they are allocated.
Yes, it's also confusing to every well-meaning Nigerian why we should be running multiple budgets, at least, within the same fiscal year like you mentioned. We have the 2023 budget extended to December with its supplementary budget. They also have the 2024 budget, which is the current budget of this year, this particular fiscal year, also running at the same time. And like you also said, government has come to say that the reason for this is simply because of some very important capital projects that must be completed. And therefore, they have to, but it's confusing. Honestly, it's confusing.
Very confusing.
And I've tried to wrap,
Your head around
kind of, wrap my head around it. But the more I try, the more I get more confused. Because this is about this. An Appropriation Act is a law. You understand? Mm-hmm. It has a beginning and it must have an end. And we also talk about accountability, in the system. As it is now, I don't understand. Maybe some people who are better off in understanding these things, might maybe sometime explain it better to Nigerians, because I have even tried to look at the government's explanation yet. Because I know that budget is a yearly ritual. I know that even before now, I think we even got better, because I remember that even before now, that the way we implement our budget, it used to be mid-year to mid-year because of certain things that will now lead to the process of getting the budget out of the National Assembly, and then it used to take a lot of time. But somehow, I think beginning from the 9th budget, beginning from the 9th Assembly in 2019, I think they came out with that resolution that the budget will now run from January 1 to the end of that fiscal year. And they started it, and everybody has said, oh, at least with this, we are trying to reform our budgetary system and the process. But we also know that sometimes, because of the late release of fund, all of us understand that budget is estimation. It's about estimation. Yes. So sometimes these revenues might not come as at when due. That is why it has been the convention why the National Assembly uses its power to maybe extend the time of the old budget into some time into the new fiscal year, pending when the revenue will come to start implementing the new budget. So it's not, but when we now extend it for a whole year, running concurrently with the current budget, that's where we get more confused. But however, I think beyond that, I think the most important question here, like you posed at the beginning, is all about the impact of these budgets within the system.
Yeah. At times I wonder if we have economists in this government.
Yeah, we do. Why not? We do. Brilliant economists.
If we have economists, then why are we going back and forth? Why the dragging? Budgets are supposed to be made to accelerate the social and economic progress of a nation, of the people. But in Nigeria's case, the reverse is the case. Reverse is the case, and honestly, it doesn't make much sense. Just like you have said, the more I try to think why, it's not making sense. It's not making a lot of sense, all right? Because these people, as the National Assembly themselves, are supposed to be there to ensure that this budget is successfully carried out, to taking them back to the sectors that are lacking, where these monies are supposed to be used and utilized to better the lives of the people, the lives of Nigerians. Another thing is, how well do they even pass this budget in percentage to the sectors, the necessary sectors? Because most sectors are even under budgeted for. Let's look at education. Education is supposed to be the highest in every country. All right, education, then probably security. And if I'm not mistaken, education, as far as the UN or the African Union is concerned, is supposed to be at least up to like 26% percent of the total budget. But I think in Nigeria is about 5%. If I stand to be corrected,
hovering around 5%.
Exactly. Right.
Between 5 to 10%.
Exactly. So most of these sectors are not even properly, this budget is not properly passed to these sectors the way they ought to. But when it comes to them, the National Assembly themselves, when they begin to padding budgets and all that, they don't look at all of these things. It bothers me.
Even, you talked about the budget for education. Even the budget for education, allocated to education, that hovers around 5 to 10%. Like Okoro said, budgets are estimates. But when it comes to real release of funds, the education sector hardly gets even 1%.
Exactly.
That's why you have, decay, infrastructure decay in institutions. And then ASU will always down tools, pressing on demands for pay rise, pressing on demands for infrastructure development and, teaching and learning materials in tertiary institutions. Because they hardly get that percentage that has been budgeted for them.
For example, in the 2024 budget, education, for the first time in many years, at least, has an allocation of about 3 trillion naira, which is an increase from last year, from the 2023 budget, which was about 2 point something trillion naira. Now, if you look at the way it's been divided, out of the about 3 trillion naira that is budgeted for education in this year's budget, over 1 trillion naira, will go to the Federal Ministry of Education and its agencies. All right. Then you have about over 200 billion going to UBEC. Then to the tertiary education fund, the third fund now, you just have about 700 billion.
Yes.
You understand? Out of 3 trillion, you see the way it has been fragmented.
Yes.
From the bulk of the education budget goes to the ministry and its agencies, which is basically going to take care of capital projects within the ministry, and then was it personnel? That is what they call it now, recurrent expenses. Both the capital and the recurrent aspects of the ministry will be taking care of more than half of the budget. Then you now take some money to UBEC. Then schools now, third fund now gets about 700 billion out of 3 trillion. So you understand? And there is no guarantee.
There's no guarantee
that even the money will be released to the later.
There's no guarantee. Exactly.
There's no guarantee that money will be released to the later.
With the benefit of hindsight, still on education, I remember the president broadcast last year. He did promise that education will be accorded, the required priority, and he talked about the students' loan scheme, which he promised that it would take off effect by January 2024, and this is July. It has not taken off.
Yeah,
it has not taken off. So the question is, what happens to those renewed hope promises, by Mr. President during the campaign? We are talking about the impact of the budget on Nigerians. Nigerians watching us. Okay, we have a caller, our first caller. Hello, good evening. You're on to Matters Arising. We have lost that one. Nigerians are listening to us. If you take a cursory look at multi-sectoral nature of this country, education, health, infrastructure development.
When you see Nigerians get so worked up and so angry, so bitter and pained, you should understand why. We hear all of these budgets, we hear these amounts being mentioned, and yet it's not being felt. The people are not feeling it. They don't feel it, they don't see it, they don't enjoy it. How, I mean, it's honestly.
Caller is back. Elizabeth, hold our thoughts. Yeah. Good evening. This is Matters Arising. The lines today are epileptic.
They will pick up.
Talk of education. There's nothing to write home about. The fees are expensive. How many parents can even send their children to school at this point? A lot of children have dropped out of school, not because they don't want to go to school, and not because the parents do not want to educate them, all right? But because of a lot of circumstances involved. Okay, these public universities and schools are in bad states, and it forces parents to take their children to private schools, and the private schools are so expensive. They are so expensive. We are talking about, okay, let's look at the life of a civil servant that has even 3 children in school, and is being paid 30,000 naira. How do you want him to cope? How do you want him? How would he be able to fed, to be able to cater and be able to pay the fees in a private school for 2-3 of his children?
No, he can't. It's not possible.
Alongside paying his house rent, feeding them. It's not possible. Okay, look at the the road and transportation sector. There's nothing to write home about. Even within the town, the roads are the spots, potholes all over.
None of them are death traps.
It's terrible. They may look as tiny, but very, very dangerous.
You know, you were earlier talking about curfew. You just came from curfew.
Right.
You were talking about the process.
Oh yes, it's not funny at all. All right, that's transportation. What about health?
And meanwhile, year in, year out,
monies are allocated to these sectors.
Monies allocated to capital projects. We hear about this and we hear about that based on what you see on the budget year in, year out. Yet, if you go around the roads across the country, they are not passable, especially both the trunk A roads, that the federal roads, and even the trunk B, the roads owned by the state government. They're not, if you are traveling from here to maybe Lagos, you know, normally, even if you want to follow Obajana, to bypass Okene and follow Obajana, it's something else. If you are going to Benin from here, but in fact, if you manage to get to Okene, from Okene, Opela, all the way,
there's no road there.
There's no road there.
No, there's no road
there.
there.
I have someone that traveled to Benin on Saturday, this Saturday, about 2 days ago. You know, a journey that will ordinarily take you some hours, now took almost about 14 hours from Abuja to Benin. They imagine when the person is now going to Lagos. And that's the story across the country. Yes, there are some projects that we see, but if you now juxtapose these things, if you juxtapose the level of infrastructural development in Nigeria against the trillions of naira that have been budgeted over the years on these projects, the question will always be, what now happened? Yes, we understand perfectly that the issue of funding, the issue of releasing funds for allocations in the budget is a very big issue. We understand about it. But even at that, at this point, if I use 1999 as my base, you're talking about 25 years, if I'm not mistaken. 25 years, 25 right? Years. As of May, 25 years. You know, now, the road I just mentioned now, the Abuja-Benin Expressway, I know that the contract to dualize the road from Abuja to Benin was awarded around 2006.
So we learned.
But as we speak today, government came and government went, and yet the road is still in that state.
And there's nobody to hold accountable.
You understand? So that's why the issue of budget, you know, we must start to scrutinize, you know, really what happens in the budgeting system and process in Nigeria.
Do you know that, John, for those who are familiar with the geography of Abuja, the nation's capital, we remember that the road from AYA to right through Wasa, through Apo resettlement, was awarded in 2012.
Right.
And we have seen variations, open variations, before the current minister,
President,
Nyesom Wike, is now taking quantum leap to ensure that the road is completed. So these are the kind of problems. It's a spectacle everywhere you go to across the country. Is it in the area of security? Because the president did promise in January that he's going to prioritize the security architecture of the country to make lives more secure for Nigerians. But what are we seeing today? I think the reverse is the case. Many Nigerians may not agree with Bayo Onanuga with the reasons he gave, because the reasons are not tangible enough to convince Nigerians that these are the reasons why you are shifting the implementation period of the old budget.
When I hear them talk about the fact that security has improved, honestly, I don't know to what extent security has improved, because many times the few we hear are those that along the way, probably the people that were involved somehow, or there was a witness that brought it to the limelight, for people to hear and all that. A lot of insecurity, people get killed every day, people still get kidnapped on a daily basis, people traveling on the highway are at risk daily, and they are killed, and because they are not related to people at the top, you don't hear about it. I was just telling you about the Goza bombing that happened over the weekend. When I heard it, I said bomb again. I thought we had gone past that level. Suicide bombing again. I thought we had gone past that level. For it to come back, what do you call that?
One of the bombers had a baby strapped to her back, and she died along with the baby. And
I learned it was a woman.
All of them
were women. Bombers were women.
All of them were women. So we are witnessing.
So they have gone to the level of using women now.
Yes.
Yeah. And linking abductions along the highways to the issue of non-implementation of the budget.
Yes.
To the letter in terms of capital projects like roads, very, very important. Now, why do we have this increase in kidnapping and abductions along our highways? It's simply because the roads are bad.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the reason. Because if you have good roads, which kidnapper will come and stand on the road when you are doing 120?
People are flying on top speed.
You are doing 120, 140, then a kidnapper will want to come and stop you. How is it going to happen? But because the roads are bad, potholes everywhere. So they have identified those bad spots.
Yeah,
that must slow down when you go to that point. There's a point around Itape, when you are heading towards Okene, you know, just before Osara. There's a point there. Now, at that point there, you have the spot is very, very bad, and that place along that highway became the most notorious point for kidnapping along that road, because the road is very, very bad.
Yes.
But now, somehow, somewhere, that place has been fixed, and you can hardly hear that happening again. You know, at least I've seen about 3 eyewitnesses who were victims, but God just helped them. They were able to escape at that spot, simply because, and that's how it is across the country. Any place we heard that people were kidnapped along the road, it's simply because the road at that point was bad.
I agree with you.
And the people had to slow down there. Want to slow down there. But if you have good roads, which kidnapper will go and stand on the highway and want to go and kidnap people? You can't try that, because who's going to stop for you?
Exactly.
They will clear you if you attempt it.
Bad roads are impediments.
Yeah, they are.
To smooth journey.
Exactly. So it's
a reflection of
these things are linked.
Yeah, they are linked.
And I
not like implementation of the budget to the latter.
To the latter. Because when we have all these funds, you know, whether released or not released, at least we know that there have been budgets. And another thing again, very important, is the issue of, because every year under late President Yar'Adua, he came with a process whereby at the end of every fiscal year, all the MDAs will now give account of how their monies allocated to them were spent. And whatever was left will be returned to the Treasury. Remember the case of a former minister? Remember the case of a former minister of health, a certain professor, who after the end of the fiscal year, you know, had issues with returning the balance, and because some civil servants told her, Don't worry, we can raise LPOs to, to account for the funds, and the thing backfired. You understand? So, but we want to see such kind of accountability, whereby at the end, because one issue, in the past years, Maucauley, have you ever heard that at the end of every fiscal year that there has been some kind of review of how the budget?
No, I've never heard.
Officially.
It doesn't happen in Nigeria at all. And Yaradua he wanted to set a precedence for accountability. And unfortunately, he didn't last long. So these are the kind of things we're talking about. If you remember General Murtala Ramat, he also did not last long, but he also came about with the mantra of accountability. That's the kind of leadership we want to see as a people. Nigerians don't care how much you make. Nigerians do not care how much you put your hand in the kitty and take that doesn't belong to you. What they want are tangible expectations of good governance.
And that is not too much to ask.
It's not too much to ask.
It's their right. It's the right of the people.
It is their right. It is their right. You're very correct. So that's what Nigerians want. At this point in time, we're going to take a short break. When we return, we'll continue to take a look at budget implementation as it impacts Nigerians or otherwise. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. When we say on KAFTAN TV, imagine a beautiful world, we're not just bragging. We know our onions in the world of broadcasting. One of our outlets to express ourselves to the world is our flagship program, Matters Arising. Join veteran broadcaster Ruben Okala and our crack team live.
And they give us a high price, and we just say, Nigeria, we ready?
As I said earlier, the lyrics is up, talking about the old new national.
On KAFTAN TV, Startimes channel 480 and 124, as well as NIGCOMSAT frequency 12518, symbol rate 29500, every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 8 p.m. live. You can join the conversation by calling this phone number 0802-993-8365. It's dramatic and insightful. Don't miss it. Please join us. When we say on KAFTAN TV, imagine a beautiful world, we're not just bragging. We know our onions in the world of broadcasting. One of our outlets to express ourselves to the world is our flagship program, Matters Arising. Join veteran broadcaster Ruben Okala and our crack team live.
And they give us a high price, and we just say, Nigeria, we ready?
As I said earlier, the lyrics is up, talking about the old new national.
On KAFTAN TV, Startimes channel 480 and 124, as well as NIGCOMSAT frequency 12518, symbol rate 29500, every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 8 p.m. live. You can join the conversation by calling this phone number 0802-993-8365. It's dramatic and insightful. Don't miss it. Please join us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Matters Arriving live from KAFTAN TV studios in Abuja. We are here discussing budget implementation and its impact or otherwise on the life of Nigerians. Our telephone lines are displayed on your screen. Please call in and make your contribution so that the program can be interactive and conversational. Guys, before we went on that break, we lost some calls, but let's talk about the role of the legislators, that's the lawmakers. Their duty is not only to enact laws for Nigerians and for the betterment of the country. There is also a function, very, very key, and that is oversight. For me, I've not seen maximum, use of oversighting functions by the National Assembly. In terms of implementation of budget, yes, they are the ones that pass the budget. They pass it on to Mr. President for his assent. Mr. President will assent it for the executive to implement the budget. Implementing the budget is not the role of National Assembly, but oversighting is their fundamental duty. I've not seen that, because if you look at so many sectors of the Nigerian economy, be it power, be it roads that we talked about, be it the health sector, there are so much challenges that needs to be addressed. But we don't seem to be having governments that are keen, on addressing these issues. So it beats my imagination.
Yes, if you look at the functions of the National Assembly, you know that even before the budgets are even passed, they have the appropriation committee who sits, over these government MDAs who come to defend their budgets. I know how tedious it seems like. Now, after you have finished with them and you accept their budget, and then you move it to the next process, you go through the legislative process, and then it is now passed as a bill and then given to the president to assent, becomes a law. Now, at that point, the National Assembly has the power to oversight. It's their responsibility to oversight. And that oversight is part of the checks and balance that we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Understand?
Yeah.
But as we speak now, there are several committees of the National Assembly going around the country in carrying out the statutory responsibility of oversight some functions across the country. But the issue is, what has been the impact of these oversight functions? Because if there have been impacts, then we should have seen a leap, in terms of infrastructural development based on the amount of money budgeted over the years, allocated to MDAs to do this, to do that. But yet, we are still having issues of a deficit of infrastructure across the country. Because that's the difference between us and the developed countries. It's about infrastructure. Every year we keep on spending money, keep on allocating money. Yet when you go around the country, across the sector, you will be asking questions, what is being going on? So you now wonder, once now all the committees of the National Assembly who have been going around the country, carrying oversight functions, then what have been the impact of the oversight functions?
Exactly.
What have been?
And they travel. They go back to their constituents, for those that still go once in a while, and some of them do not even bother, like you have said, to go take a look at these projects, that ought to have been carried out in their constituencies. Then some of them even go and discover.
We have a caller. Hello. Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, this is Matters Arising. Your own. Tell us your name, where you're calling from. We lost the caller.
Yeah, and some of them go and discover that they are not properly, carried out or executed, and the people are still not benefiting. And yet no contractor, the monies have been allocated, no contractor is brought to book or held responsible for anything. And there seems that at times it beats my imagination, and I wonder if really these people have the interests of their people at heart. These same people they are meant, to represent, to bring good fortunes to ensure that development gets, to them, locate them. I don't know if they really have their interest at heart. I've
listened to someone who said most of our legislators are more interested in media visibility, and I quite, to a large extent, I quite agree with him. They organize media coverage to, on their entourage, so that whenever they are oversighting a project, the major TV stations, we show them on the news, and then they are happy. That semblance of being serious has been created in the minds of Nigerians, but deep down, they are really not doing anything. And the man went extensively pontificating on the fact that these people that have been elected to represent us are doing it. It's just a photo shoot for just media visibility for the cameras, and they're not really working.
That's it. And incidentally, again, the National Assembly is on the first line charge. That's a statutory allocation. Once the money comes, there are some government agencies that are under the statutory allocation. That is their money, goes straight to them. Like the National Assembly is one of them.
First line charge.
First line charge, that's statutory allocation. Then you have the judiciary, and then some other government like the Northeast Development Commission, you have UBEC, you have the health, the Primary Health Provision Fund. So these agencies get their money directly, that's a statutory allocation, and National Assembly is there. And if you find out that even their allocation is also very, very, very huge,
yes.
The National Assembly allocation, their money. And so maybe once they get the money, they're okay. Maybe that could be the reason.
That could be the reason.
That could be the reason, because
that's the only explanation.
If you have the statutory responsibility of oversight, at least we as ordinary citizens may not have what it takes, unless if you want to carry out our citizens' responsibility of asking questions, which is statutory to us, which is our rights. But at least beyond that, there are people that have been elected to help us find out what is going on. Because if we cannot have things to show, I know that at the time, the government, maybe because of the problem of paucity of funds, actually had to go the extra mile to get funds through bond, like the Sukuk bond, to do the roads and everything. But what has been the impact of that? Exactly. Because after all said and done, the aim is the impact. How do the citizens feel about this? What impact does it have on them?
Okay, we have a caller there.
No much impact.
Good evening. This is Matters Arising. Oh, we have lost the caller.
Okay.
On that note, we'll move to our next topic, which is bullying, which could also be referred to as an aggressive act carried out by one or more persons against a victim or victims, as the case may be. Bullies often target those who have lesser physical strength or social power than they do. In Nigeria today, bullying in schools has reached an alarming level that the authorities must act now and fast. Recently, a bullying video from a private school in Abuja went viral, drawing condemnations from across the country. The case of a student of Ajay Kravda University in Oyo State, who was beaten to death by his fellow students on the accusation of stealing a telephone, is still very fresh in our minds. When we thought that bullying was a thing of the past in our schools, guys, it is resurfacing.
Bullying, because a child stole your phone, you beat the child to death.
Yeah.
Are phones meant to be in school to start with?
No.
There was another one the other day that it had to do, somebody was bullying somebody, also in the FCT. The girls that was beating up, slapping up the other one. Yes, because she was accusing her of taking a boy from her. And while she was slapping, some other student was videoing it, recording it. Phones in school. That aspect, that is okay. That's even the aspect, an aspect of yes, it was bullying in the act. But my question is, the means of getting a phone in school, in boarding houses.
It is prohibited.
Bullying, it's supposed to be. Bullying has been with us from time immemorial. It's been there. I mean, long before we know. And it happens every day. It's only the few ones, the few ones we get to know that are recorded, that we hear and we know, that comes to the news. All right? Bullying comes in different ways. A husband can bully the wife.
The wife can bully
the husband. In the office, in the workplace.
Do students bully teachers?
Yes, students bully teachers. Yes, because they feel that their parents are wealthy and they cannot talk to them. And if they come, punish them when their parents come, because they are wealthy, they will either have the teachers sacked or disciplined or something. So yes, but our focus is bullying in school. Parents have to learn.
3 days ago,
there's
a picture of a youth corps, youth corps member in one of the northwestern states, who was beaten to pulp. His back was just like cut with razor blade, because he was said to have punished a student whose father
was a big man.
He's a big man and a politician. He came with policemen, and the policemen meted punishment on the youth corps. So there is a national outcry against that, and it's bullying. So the man took laws into his hands because he's a wealthy man, and that youth corps has nobody. And the Akopa is from, you know, senatorial, I mean, a region that is
A
not
different
even
region.
contiguous
Yeah.
to that state.
Parents
You know?
need to wake up.
So it happens. So there are students that whose parents are they are bullies. They are, you know, there are parents that
That's
that
where I was
are
going.
bullies.
Yes.
Exactly.
Parents need to wake up because charity begins at home. Children learn from their parents. By the time you see a parent that is treating the house help, maltreating the house help, picking up on the house help at every slightest opportunity, every little, because if that help knew better, it wouldn't be help. Probably that child or that person will be in the comfort of, you know, their comfort zone, either with their parents or in their own home and all that. Your drivers, your domestic servants, you pick on them at everything, you bully them, you treat them as if they are nothing. The children are watching. There was a story of a little boy that saw, okay, he was in a car and their car splashed water. The driver carried him and splashed water on a girl hawking in the streets.
So,
And
hold your thoughts here.
okay,
We may be looking with this caller. Good evening, and this is Matters Arising. Tell us your name, please. We can hear you. We lost that one. It's network.
yeah, network today is not friendly at all. So splash water, and the girl was like, oh, why did you do that? The driver slowed down and was trying to tell these girls, oh, so sorry about that. The little boy was like, no, why are you telling her sorry? She deserves it. People like her, she's a poor, that's how to treat such people.
No.
And the driver asked him, little boy, young boy, where did you learn that from? He said, that's what my mommy said. Because apparently the mother had carried him and done that to a woman, and she came down and scolded the woman on it and told the child that is how to treat poor people, that is how they should be treated. So imagine that boy picked that and believed that, yes, that is how to behave. So when it comes to bullying in schools, it's from home. Parents should wake up.
You know, I remember a time when we had some kind of discussions, and it was, bullies made or are they born? Are bullies made or born? They are
made.
You know, people who, you know, are they made or born? And because, you know, passing through schools and everything, we know what it's like. You know, because you know those people who have this larger than life image of themselves. So, you know, they want to like dominate everybody everywhere, dominate every space around them.
Let's try this caller.
Okay.
We will be lucky with this one. Good evening. This is Matters Arising. We can hear you. We can hear you. Your background is noisy. Okay, go ahead with your comment.
Calling from customer section.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello.
We can hear you. What's your name? We are calling from Kasuna. What's your name?
My name is Are you?
Are you from Kasuna? Go ahead with your contribution.
Okay. Okay. Well, hello.
Okay, you're talking.
Well, okay, so you see, so they bring these individuals, you know, and some of the reasons they behave the way, you know, you have given that from homes, learning from their parents or something. But you know, they want to dominate the space everywhere, in school, everywhere, you know. But at the time, you know, bullying was maybe a test of physical strength. Okay, I'm stronger than you, let us dig it out. Then no, people could do so. And sometimes we were told, don't give into bullying, you know, then if somebody comes and say wants to bully you, don't stand your ground and fight back. Because once you have chickened out, then you have given way to that person.
Exactly.
We have another caller.
Okay.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Matters Arising.
Good evening.
Good evening. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead.
You can hear me?
Go ahead. We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. You said, like the lady said, that bullying is from charity begin at home.
Yes.
That's what she said. But do you know that most of this bullying, they want to initiate the boys or the girls into a court? You know that?
Yes.
So you cannot be said everything is from the home. The parents have to try their best, but when you go to school, you see that they want that senior you. You're in a low class, they want in the top class, they want you to do what you're not supposed to do. That is bullying. By the time you refuse, they'll beat you a lot. And most cases of all this bullying is caught. They want to initiate you into one thing. If it's girls hostel, they want the girls to come. So I don't want to explain so much about it.
Okay.
It's not all about home. Home train the children. But the school, all of us went to school now. You know how the senior treats the junior. So there's a lot of things. I'm calling for worry anyway.
Okay.
I'm enjoying your programs.
Thank you, Ayu. Thank you,
It
Ayu.
look like a boarding house, it look like government has to look into this boarding house issue. Well, it's getting too much.
Okay, thank you, Ayu from
Too
Kasana.
much.
Okay. We've heard Ayu's contribution is that
Yes.
it's not all about home.
Oh, definitely.
At home have their own orientation that they give their children.
Yes, they do.
And first training.
Right.
So a child can also, be indoctrinated or
By
initiated
peer group.
By peer group.
Yes,
by peer pressure.
definitely. No, definitely.
And the
Definitely.
dangerous aspect of this bullying thing, especially in schools now, is that bullying is now leading to the death of people. Children are being killed because of bullying. Like we just mentioned the issue of Ajay Crowder School, university in Oyo, and
Okay, Jacques, let's take this contribution. Good evening. You're welcome to Matters Arising. Thank you. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's Elder Statement.
Elder Statement, go ahead. You're a regular caller. Go ahead with your comments.
What is the woman that is not how to cook?
Beg your pardon?
Where did you went from? You didn't father house.
What? I can't hear you.
The woman that you don't know how to cook.
No,
We
I
can't hear him.
think
It's
that's
not audible.
Are you sure
It's not audible
not
enough.
got the wrong call?
exactly. Yeah. So the dangerous dimension of children being bullied to death is where I think that the time now, this is the right time to act. I was telling you about an incident that happened in Kaduna about a young boy, teenage boy, who resides in Abuja, have schools in Kaduna, an orphan. But the boy was allegedly electrocuted to death by two fellow students in the school, and that's how it is. And that's the situation now. But at the end of the day, we cannot get that boy back to life again.
Yeah.
No matter the kind of punishment you are going to give to those people,
yes,
you
because
cannot
it's
bring
gone
that boy.
already.
And that's a very promising young boy.
Young
So pathetic that you can bring tears to your eyes. And it's just one story that we've just heard. And there are several circumstances like this.
Okay. We have a caller. Hello, good evening. This is Matters Arising. We've lost the caller. The lines are not our friends to
the fact that the children learn from their peer, yes, and like the other caller had rightly said, even beginning from primary school, they practice cultism.
Yeah.
They practice cultism, all right, and
he's trying to call back. Hello, good evening. This is Matters Arising. Yeah, we can hear you. This sounds like a child.
So, but the scenarios where the child must have learned from school, it is still, I will still call back to parents. Parents are meant to know their children. Have a relationship with your children. Know who your child is.
Yeah, right.
You know how you have brought them up.
Right.
If you see them come home with a different character, a different attitude.
Hello? Good evening. Matters Arising. We have a problem with the phone lines tonight. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you see them come changed, find out why they have changed. Find out. Monitor them when they come back from school. A lot of parents are too busy to notice these things, to notice these changes from their children. They are out there going about their businesses, going to work. By the time they get back home, the children are already asleep. They don't have time. When you take your children go to school, most especially boarding school, when they come back, interact with them. Ask, let them tell you, let them gist you what happened in school. When it is time for visiting days, go visit them.
Don't send anyone.
No, by all means, if the two of you cannot go as parents, if it is the father that is available that can make out and let him go, if it is the mother, let her go. You monitor your children. It's a consistent and continuous thing. You don't just leave your child, so that when these traits of bullying, all right, he starts displaying them, he or she starts displaying them, you will notice them. And let them also know that if they are being bullied by someone, they should not keep quiet. They should talk. They should talk to somebody. They should report to the teacher, the head teacher, or come to you as a parent and report to you, so that you can take it up on the school.
I think another mechanism is this Parent-Teachers Association.
How many parents go?
No,
and another thing is, most schools hide it. These things happen, like you have said, this thing is causing a lot of deaths of children. And even at that, you go to, they'll give you stories that no, they want to cover up the bullying aspect, to tell you it was something else that happened to the child.
Okay, let's take this caller. Hello, good evening. This is Matters Arising. Okay, I think we should leave the telephone calls alone.
I think it has reached a stage, an alarming stage, where everyone, the parents, the school authorities, and the government itself, the regulator being the government.
Yes.
In fact, let there be a kind of code of conduct for schools now, with deterrents, so that whenever an incident of bullying, gets to, goes out of control, and we start getting things like this, that school should be sanctioned. Because it's not just about, because children, whether they're in boarding school or whether they're in day school, they spend more time in the school, more than they spend at home during the regular academic session. So they should be able to, it's not just about collecting money from parents, it's also about taking care, taking responsibility. Like the incident that happened in Abuja here, we saw all the rumpus that the thing cost, that parents even had to go to the school, almost start fighting themselves because of the issue, the slapping incident that happened in the school in Abuja here. At least that one is about slapping. What about the ones that the children are not dead? What would they then do?
Exactly.
So there should be some kind of sanctions. We have to have.
Hello, good evening. Sorry on that.
Good evening.
This is Matters Arising. Can you make it quick? Your name and where you're calling from?
Good evening, sir. My name is Mara. I'm calling from Osun State.
From Osun State. Okay, go ahead with your comments.
Exactly. I want to support about what the mama is saying. It's not a bad the parents taking care of children, seeing what the children is doing. Just that children that go out from the school, they don't have respect for anyone.
Okay.
They only look at they're all up. They look at everybody that they're not equal. They are they have more than what the person have.
Okay.
So they look somebody upside down. So there's not the way that the mother can talk to a child that go out that is not going in their parents.
Okay.
So you cannot expect the mother will come. So I'm looking for some parents now. Everything they will bring their mother, they need the children's mother. It's not the children's mother. It's their father that take the children far away from the mother. Because those children, they need motherly care, they need motherly advice.
Okay. Thank you.
Because going outside, they can join all courses. Because this life without ease, there are autism everywhere.
Okay, thank you so much for calling. She's made very, very valid point. I think she concords with your position.
She's talking about like separated parents. In all, we know that yes, we are not putting the whole blames on the parents. There are parents that strive so much. They try a lot, bring up their children decently, good morals, values, and all that. They go to school, they change and become someone else.
Well, guys, this is how far we can go with our package tonight on Matters Arising. We thank our esteemed viewers and our two vibrant callers for making the program interactive. On behalf of our producer Ruben Okala and the entire production team that made the program possible, I remain yours truly, Maucauley Hunohashi. Good night and see you next time.
I am John Okoro. Enjoy the rest of your night.
I'm Elizabeth Sam-Sedi. Have a good night rest.
And as we say on KAFTAN TV,
Imagine a beautiful world. Good night.
Bye-bye.